What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys had a solid Friday headed into this weekend here. I wanted to talk job numbers. We got job data yesterday. I wanted to talk about it. Something popped up. Couldn't make a video on the way home. I was talking on the phone. And then we got even more job data today. BLS data today. Challenger jobs report yesterday. And I'll be honest with you, this whole Challenger's jobs report is new to me, but I took some time today, read up on it, understand at least the basics at a bare minimum of what's going on over there. This Challenger jobs report is produced by a firm. There's a couple names in it, but basically the guy who owns it is Challenge. His last name's Challenger. So it's just a private firm that does data analysis and with a focus on economics, it looks like. And I was like, at first I was like, well, okay, so why do I care what this is? But apparently it's pretty well established. They're solid. They're using public data like ADP reports and things like that. So they're aggregating jobs data from public sources. And it's not like they're just estimating anything. They're actually measuring it. And it is pretty widely used by stock market analysis and things like that. Other companies, governments, they look at it at least for a reference point. So it's not just some bullshit thrown out there. The number came in hot as far as what they report is net layoffs. So basically, when we talk about BLS a little bit later, I'm going to get into that. When you talk BLS jobs data, they're giving you jobs created, jobs lost. They add them together, get the net jobs for the month, the previous month after they release. This data from Challenger is just layoffs. So only obviously jobs lost. There is no balancing act of jobs gained, jobs lost. Their number for February of 2025 was, I think it was 172,000, but basically 170,000 jobs lost, i.e. 170,000 people got laid off in the month of February last month. The month before, in January, I wrote some of these numbers down so I could get it, at least keep it close and keep everything as accurate as possible. January was only, what was it, 50,000. So we bumped it up like 120,000 more jobs lost February than in January. And last February, there was not nearly as many jobs lost, basically half of that. So we over doubled the jobs lost in the month of February compared to February 2024. And obviously, I would be remiss if I didn't mention obviously everything going on with the federal government, DOGE, cutting federal employees and things like that. From their numbers, they're accounting for 62,000 people of this 170,000 layoffs is coming directly out of the federal government, and like either just in general people are quitting or obviously related to the DOGE cuts, these funding cuts, program cuts, agency cuts, all that is wrapped into this number, and obviously that's a big chunk of this number. So last February, if it was roughly half, 170,000, what is that, 85,000 was last February. So apparently February is a pretty solid month to get laid off in after the holiday season. But even if you take 60,000 off the 170,000, we're still at 110. So we're still roughly 30K higher. I mean, not quite 1.5, but we're cruising around 100 and whatever it is, 40% increase or something like that to the month before. So yes, the DOGE cuts have an impact, a big impact. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it or anything. I'm not going to try to obfuscate that fact that they obviously had big part to play in this. 60,000 jobs it's nothing to just shake a stick at. It's a big part. 170,000, 60K. You're still at 110K. That's a lot. And like I said, obviously a big increase to last month and even a really solid increase to the year before. Looking at their chart, their previous chart, I'd like to give some context, I guess. 170,000 jobs is the highest amount of layoffs we've had in a single month since COVID. When I was looking at the chart, obviously COVID was an insane thing. I think the COVID number peaks out at around like 732,000 jobs were laid off, lost right after, basically, like right when COVID was starting, when everything was like, holy shit, we're gonna have to shut the world down. So, I mean, what is that? We're at like a quarter of that in this month with nothing going on except just economic slowdown. That's the whole reason I'm bringing these numbers up, basically, is kind of just try to link together all these themes. We talked about stock market earlier this week, and speaking of stock market, it's still going down. I think it's kind of bouncing, recovering a little bit here and there, but overall the trend is down, down, down. I think the headline I saw today was, if you've been paying attention, obviously, to stock market things in the last, 2 years or so, NVIDIA has been on just this crazy tear up. Their stock price has just been exploding since their peak, which was like, I can't remember. I'm wanting to say 2 months ago, but that might be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But since their peak, they have lost $1 trillion in stock value on the way down. So NVIDIA is not tanking relative to it literally exploded. I mean, they're up thousands of % over the past couple years. So it's all in context, but I mean, still $1 trillion of value from the company lost from their share price going down. Hey, it's pretty crazy. I mean, there's companies, huge companies that you know of that aren't even worth $1 trillion. So it's pretty wild that is happening. And let's get into the BLS report, because like I said, that Challengers report is not net. That's just layoffs, which obviously, and one data point doesn't make a trend or anything like that. But I think this is where we're headed more and more. I don't know necessarily that March is going to have even more layoffs or anything like that, but I think the general trend of how many layoffs we're going to have is start climbing as we head into this year, and as economic conditions deteriorate, I guess, however you want to say it. Things are slipping a little bit, and like I said, stock market's no different. The BLS numbers came out today. They missed slightly. I guess the prediction was like an 8,000 job miss. So I think they were estimating 159,000 jobs created net. So lost and gained. We still created 159,000 jobs. That's good stuff. But they missed a little bit to the downside, so nothing crazy, doesn't really matter. But they did go back and revise the January jobs report down 18,000 jobs, which I always think is funny, because since I've been talking about this, not every time, can't say every time, but a lot of the times, all these jobs numbers that the government releases, the official government numbers, get revised down. They go back and retroactively revise it down. And I've seen people talking about this, and not even a conspiracy way, but just their thought is, and I tend to agree with them, that the last couple years of economic data there's really been some bullshit. And my buddy, I think this is my boy Joe, just pulls out in front of me. If you ever watch this, Joe, learn how to fucking drive. He's got the Tesla, so he can accelerate fast enough. These job numbers, I think, have been cooked for the last couple years. So I think, and other people think, that all the BLS has to do is actually just accurately report the data that has been happening in the last couple years, and it will look like we're in a recession, which causes, like I said, there's a chain reaction that happens when these bad economic figures come out. It kind of chains into each other, and that can kick off all kinds of bad things. Like I said, they missed a little bit, not crazy. The revisions, I think, worry me more than anything. They keep going back and revising the jobs down, which basically means they just were wrong. And it's like, how many times can you be wrong before people just don't trust you anymore? Or how wrong can you be before everybody considers that you're just deliberately lying and fudging the numbers to make the economy look stronger than it really is? Because we keep hearing about the job market and the labor market is strong, which, like, unemployment rate is still low. It actually ticked up slightly, ever so slightly. So it's 4.1% now. It's still near all-time low, so it's really not a big deal. And I guess maybe I should go back and talking about NVIDIA. I made a point to write it down here. Basically, was with the Challenger report, just the layoffs. Tech was a huge sector that lost jobs, which would be NVIDIA falls into that thing. We got Apple, Google, all the big tech companies. Tesla, I think, is technically a tech company. These big tech companies are cutting jobs. AI, I don't know. However you want to, I don't know what you want to say is the cause. Just general economic slowdown. People are not buying tech as much. I know Apple seems to be slipping. I've always had an iPhone, but their new shit is nothing cool. Like, I don't feel any need to buy the new stuff. Feels like it's stagnating a little bit. Who knows what the cause is, but tech Tech lost what? 15,000 jobs, roughly 15,000 jobs lost just in tech in the sector, and then the retail lost almost 40,000, 39,000 retail jobs. Like I said, I think you could easily just pin that on holiday season's over, a bunch of temp workers in retail get laid off. I mean, that's nothing crazy. I think that makes sense, honestly. But I wanted to compare that Challenger job report number 2, just to give you an idea of how many employees that was, because I was like 170,000 sounds like a lot, but in reality, what is that? So I was just curious. I Googled it. Amazon has 1.6 million employees. So obviously Amazon, huge company. If they would have lost, obviously no one company's cutting 170,000, but just in perspective, that's a tenth of Amazon's entire workforce if you just cut them all off in 1 month. You just fired 10% of Amazon in 1 month, gone. And I was like, well, Amazon might be one of the biggest companies by like personnel in the whole world, maybe, for all I know. So I also looked up Apple. Apple only has 164,000 employees, according to Google anyway. So that'd be like if you just dissolved Apple as a company. Everybody who works for Apple, which it's a big tech company, I'm sure they actually don't really have that many employees. I mean, 160-some thousand. It's a population of a huge city. The nearest city next to me is like not even 45,000 people live in. It's called Mansfield, Ohio. So 3.5 Mansfield's, 3.5 decent-sized cities of people just all lose their jobs. Obviously, it's through a whole country. It's a huge country, 300-some million people. I get it. But just in perspective, dissolve Apple, and every person that works for Apple no longer has a job in 1 month. It's a pretty big deal, I think. And like I said, it really is just a trend. I know, too, that they're talking about, I was seeing more DOGE cuts coming. The Veteran Affairs, basically, the Department of Veteran Affairs is looking to cut between like 70 and 80,000 jobs by August of this year. So in theory, if they get that done, there comes another 60, 70,000 jobs gone, whatever. So we'll see how many actually get cut, but that's the plan as of right now. And from what I could tell on Google too, I looked up how many people are employed at the Department of Veteran Affairs, and it's almost 500,000. They have almost 500,000. The Department of Veteran Affairs is 3 times as big as Apple. It's a third of Amazon. I don't know what, I mean, I'm sure they do a ton of shit, but the Department of Veteran Affairs has 500,000 employees. It just sounds like a crazy number, honestly. And like I said, there's plenty of jobs that they're looking to cut, and we'll see if they actually end up doing it or not. But it's another wait and see type thing. I don't know. We'll have to do exactly that and just see how this plays out in the long run. If you guys got something out of the video, I'd appreciate it if you like it, subscribe, especially if you watched to this point. I appreciate that. And if you didn't like it, dislike it. Tell me why. Leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. And hope you guys have a good weekend. And I'll maybe catch you guys this weekend, but at least Monday if not. See you then.